Welcome back to the Boondoggle Tapes, a collection of recorded phone calls, emails, and journal entries of Sarah Boone. Convicted of murdering her fiancé by zipping him up in a suitcase and leaving him to die. The journal excerpts presented in this video are the personal writings and statements of Sarah Boone. The information contained in these entries has not been independently verified, corroborated, or admitted as evidence in court. Viewers are advised to interpret this content with caution and an understanding that it reflects one party's unproven narrative. Today's episode was created for a mature audience, and viewer discretion is advised. With the conclusion of Sarah Boone's journal entries, the following bullet points outline what she calls a summary of the incidents. Buckle up and let's dive in.
Would sometimes sleep under table with dogs when he'd threatened to kill or hurt them. Sometimes kick making them yelp and I couldn't get them to come out, they were so scared. Repeatedly broke the bedroom door open, sometimes kicking, forcing me to come downstairs with him when sleeping. He would be extremely violent at times, throwing me off bed, slapping, dragging, where I pushed the dresser on the door where he was so enraged trying to get in and me having to hold the dresser against the door to keep him out. One time he got the door slightly opened where he stuck his face in saying he was going to get me, then walk off. He broke all the door locks, eventually a leg off the dresser, actually framed the hole in the wall from doorknob when kicking door open, shredded the carpet from pushing dresser so much when being kept out. I would play dead or act passed out for him to leave me alone or stop hitting me. I would also say, "Remember my son." He would make copies of house keys to get in when locked out. Destroyed my family Christmas decorations with fists and bat when drunk. Angry, extremely heartbreaking, especially since my parents and grandparents, aunt, uncle are deceased. George wandered in neighbor's house, totally drunk, thinking it was ours, sleeping on floor. When woman came in, she called her brother in another apartment who knew George to get him out, where George tried fighting them in the parking lot, where he fell down and they brought him back to my apartment. The only way I knew was the neighbor came over and told me he was apparently looking for me, extremely angry and intoxicated. I profusely apologized and was so shocked. She asked me if I was all right, if I need her, she's down the street. George didn't remember any of it. The cheating on me was from finding out all his accounts he had, such as Twitter, Facebook, dating websites, Pornhub, calling other women beautiful, exquisite, how he would treat them like queens, saying he wants to snuggle with them. George would stand outside bedroom with door closed, knowing the lock was broken, and me asleep, ranting nonsense, tapping the door with bat, saying he's going to rape me, just being mean and harassing. Then he'd walk off with me, not knowing if he was coming back or when, just to mess with me, add anxiety. George repeatedly took my car drunk, phone, debit card while sleeping to buy alcohol, cigarettes, necklaces, earrings, Viagra, then sometimes go to Brothers for hours, me worrying if my car was okay. Broke in door drunk, waking me up, accusing me of sleeping with Brian, neighbors, my friend who'd I talked to earlier in the day, raging mad, picking up a plastic hanger from the laundry basket, whipping the bed, my legs, the dog beds, then the dresser, denting it and breaking the hanger. Then he picked up the broken metal curtain rod from the window, whipping my pillow, my back when I sat up, shielding my head. Then he pointed it at my face, reminding me he can make me unrecognizable. No one will want to look at me. Then slapped in my forehead with the open sharp end, taking a chunk of skin and dark red blood coming out. I thought I was going to have to get stitches. It was so deep. Multiple complaints from neighbors. Received eviction notice. I was told it was for George, not me. Every time something on door, feared being evicted. One time George refused to turn music down after bangs on wall from neighbors. Me asking repeatedly, trying to work on computer, just being a drunk asshole as usual. Walked to office, told property manager who said she knew from the calls, then walked over to tell George to turn it down and shut the fuck up. Get out if he can't handle, or she'll get him out for everyone's sake of peace and quiet. Property manager told me she was driving by our apartment in the cart more often to make sure I was okay after the complaints, and reading the arrest report, wanted to get him out of here. My ex-husband picked me up in front of Complex, once with bloody eye, and in underwear from not having time to put on shorts, literally having to make a quick escape, not the first time. I would sleep, hide on neighbors' porches from George, locking me out of the house or after being beaten, afraid to go back in the apartment and not having a phone to call anyone when he would take my keys. I would park my car across the street at the vet's office to make it look like I wasn't home when George would come around uninvited. Sometimes would sleep in car at vets to get away from George when too cold or wet to go on porches. I would walk barefoot to my ex-husband's after fighting or being hit because George would take my shoes. George took my debit card and drained the account with house bills pending and were returned unpaid to buy alcohol, cigarettes, clothes, lunch for everyone at his work. One of the 911 calls was from him doing it again with no contact. He was arrested. Multiple no contacts violated. I personally gave $400 to George's mother to bail him out of jail. She lied and said I never did. I started making our drinks with little to no vodka so he wouldn't get so mean drunk. He figured it out and started taking bottle. George has punched, slapped, bruised, kicked, ripped hair, bloodied, destroyed, broken, many times before and in between what I've written. These are just some of the most traumatic and violent experiences I can remember, and I'm scared from, some literally. I had a bad feeling when I would call 911 and the officers would show up still chewing food or gum popping or a toothpick in their teeth. I wouldn't even get a card or report they quit taking it seriously. If I would have started to call 911 before I did, I wonder how many there would be. I would really like to see an x-ray or body scan to see the damage George has inflicted. Some you can see on the outside and feel. I will never be the same in so many ways, ever.
For the final section of the journal, Sarah continues her bullet points under the heading, Positive Examples, How I Helped George.
I loved and cared for him regardless of what he ever said or did. I was his support system and everything. I tried finding healthy ways to help George manage/express his anger/feelings, so not to take it out on me, painting, drawing, puzzles, games, art projects, gardening, reading, going on walks. I bought him a bike to ride with me, and we even taught my son to ride a two-wheeler. Also, for George to get to and from his new job at the time, I helped him get and sat in the car for 3 hours during his 2 interviews I took him to. I got him his Florida ID card, birth certificate, voter's registration card, encouraging him to vote, made his resume to get a better job, started working on getting his Social Security card, and got him to look into getting his GED, classes online, or even at the campus down the street where he could ride his bike. I bought $200 boots for his kids' Christmas, bought birthday gifts, transferred money to his sister for other gift needs, spent over $1,000 to fly him to Pennsylvania for his kid's birthday, paid for everything during the trip, food, cabs, cigarettes, clothes, my shirt he tore up before getting arrested. Always encouraging him to call his family, mom, dad, brothers, cousin, daughters, son, went to court talking to judge, worked with state attorney, public defenders, showed up for all hearings, etc. When he got arrested, bailed him out of jail, did everything, calls, research, paid for. Drove him to and from his probation officer appointments/meetings, waited, set everything up figured out for him prior, paid for. Drove him to and from his batterer's intervention class, waited, set everything up/research prior, paid for. I helped George see his potential, offered him anything and everything to be the man he could be, always supporting him in many ways. I never gave up on George like so many others had before with his 2 divorces, his kids, parents, no matter what, clearly. I was here for him, always encouraging to be better/happier. This being the main reason for always taking him back, because I knew he had it in him and I was determined to see it, no matter how long it may have taken. I never meant for this to happen, never. I sacrificed so much for George, so much, just to end up in jail missing out on so much then and now. 20/20 hindsight, never meant for this to happen, what a fool I am.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of the Boondoggle Tapes. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. You can also find us on Patreon for additional exclusive content, priority access, and to join our chat where we answer all questions related to our experience with Sarah Boone. The link can be found below in our description. Until next time, please stay safe and look out for one another.